Hi, Jonathan York, Bear Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. A little bit of a disrupted week this week in the US because you've got Thanksgiving holiday. But on the recent data that's come out there, certainly inflation appears to be falling. Earnings are pretty good. Around sort of 80% of companies reporting are beating their estimates. And are now just waiting to see the Fed minutes to see if that really is the case, that rates are pretty much on hold. Certainly given the data out there, you would think it's going to be hard for the Fed to increase interest rates given you've got a falling inflation rate. And certainly you do have a slowing economy. The employment rate is sort of falling. It's currently running at around sort of 150 odd thousand per month, which is well down from the sort of 230, 240 odd numbers we were seeing a couple of months ago. Now, the latest PPI data was a big sort of boost out there because that was down 0.5%. There was expected to be a sort of plus 0.1%. That's a really pretty big move. And really just highlights further that you've got falling inflation in the US. And that's certainly seen a pretty big fall out there in sort of rates. 10-year rate is currently around 4.45, and the 2 years backed off well below that 5% as well. That's currently 4.88. Now, if you look at those, they are down around 50 basis points now over the last sort of couple of weeks. Certainly at the moment, the Santa Claus rally seems to be in sort of full steam. Potentially still looking for that to continue now over the next sort of 4 to 5 weeks. Also, as well, a pretty good meeting between President Biden and Xi Jinping. They're looking to sort of try and sort of calm the sort of tensions between sort of China and the US. And that appears to be, a pretty good meeting out there, and looking for a little bit more sort of harmony and a little bit more cooperation between those two superpowers. Now, obviously, that's pretty bad news for Russia and Putin. He's come out and sort of rubbished the meetings. That it doesn't really matter about those meetings. China and Russia are still very strong. But I think if you look at it, China certainly needs the US more than it needs Russia. Oil's backed off pretty aggressively from that 80 bucks, currently around sort of 75 and change. And that's obviously good news for the global inflation picture. Now in the UK, pretty amazing sort of gilt option out there. They're expecting normally gilts to be around sort of 1 to 1.5% covered. They were trying to sell £7 billion worth of gilts. They were oversubscribed by over sort of 10 times. So that's really another pretty clear sign that the market sort of view that this is the peak of rates. Also, as well, a little bit of good news out there potentially for the UK consumer with potential tax cuts now in the pipeline. Now, Europe now, with the ECB signaling that that's the sort of peak in rates and rates are on hold now. We're now just waiting to see how severe the winter is out there to see what sort of pressure that puts on energy costs. Because although it looks like they've got supply sort of sorted, the real acid test will come if it is a very cold winter and whether those supply chains hold up. Now in Australia, we're obviously looking for that Chinese economy to sort of pick up, and that will give a little bit of a boost out there, obviously, to the Australian economy. And there are signs there that the sort of Chinese economy is starting to pick up now. And, if that is indeed the case, that's obviously good news for the Australian economy. And it's unlikely to see any further rate hikes from the Reserve Bank of Australia this year. Cash rate at 4.35, and it's just going to be interesting now to see if that is the peak. Now here in New Zealand, still no government yet, although Chris Luxon sort of says that, they're very close now. There's just maybe a couple of sort of sticking points, and potentially now starting to talk about ministerial positions between the three parties. Now, if that is the case, obviously you would expect a government to be announced before the end of the week, and that's obviously good news because potentially now, although it's only sort of a couple of weeks since the special votes were counted, it is starting to drag on just a little bit. Now, again, we don't expect any change for the Reserve Bank before year end. Next meeting is now in February. The OCR 5.5, potentially you expect that to be the peak, especially as well as inflation is starting to fall. If you are looking for income options, go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.